Well, let's discuss a topic that was released today by 𝗟𝗟𝗚𝗏, which is that Madrid is considering renewing their entire left wing with Miguel Gutierrez and Davies in, and Mendy and Fran Garcia out. Let's talk about it. Hello, everyone. How's it going? Well, one of the topics that came up today is that it's been said on the network that Madrid is considering completely renewing the left side, signing Miguel Gutierrez, signing Davies, and to sell 𝗦𝗢𝗕𝗏𝗏 and Fran Garcia. All right, I'll give you my opinion on the status of these possible deals, and then we'll discuss what I think or what seems to be the best option Real Madrid could take. As always, well, considering that we are talking about the month of November and that obviously there's a lot of time left for decision making. Let's see, it won't be me, right? It won't be me who contradicts the information I've been providing you for some time with Alphonso Davies. And well, in the last video I published about this information, I mentioned that at Real Madrid, they already take it as a given that Alphonso Davies has committed to the Madrid team, right? There was a conversation almost 2 weeks ago in which people very close to Alphonso Davies told Madrid that already, despite having other offers, Alphonso had already made a decision, and that was to play for Madrid. A few days ago, Davies' agent, or rather one of Davies' agents, denied this information. He said that Alphonso Davies has many possibilities, including renewing with Bayern, and that no decision had been made yet. Let me tell you something. The very close circle of Davies confirmed this to Real Madrid, which is why my information followed that line that Madrid, well, has received from Davies' circle the word, not the promise, that they will sign as soon as possible. And whether the agent is aware of this promise or not, then to say is that this kind of thing is usually handled this way. Okay, my information is that Real Madrid already counts on Alphonso Davies, or rather that Alphonso Davies is in the plans of Real Madrid. I am not the one signing contracts on behalf of Alphonso Davies, but Madrid considers that they have already reached that commitment with the club. I explained to you is that these kinds of things are usually handled this way. Okay, my information is that Alphonso Davies, or that Real Madrid considers Alphonso Davies to be on board. Rather, okay, I'm not the one signing contracts on behalf of Alphonso Davies, but Madrid considers Alphonso Davies to be on board, and it's no longer just a matter of optimism, but they believe the player has already committed to the club. Then there's the Miguel Gutierrez issue, which we also discussed here a few days ago. There's the possibility for Madrid to reclaim him for 8 million euros. They own 50% of his rights, and there's a clause, which I believe is around 30 million euros. So if someone triggers the clause, Madrid would have to decide between paying 15 or receive 15, but before June 30th, they have the option to reclaim him for 8. All right, I'll give my opinion on what I think about this, but this is the situation. I know that in the summer, Madrid considered this operation, but something made Real Madrid discard it, okay? Something made Madrid change their stance, or that plan did not materialize, did not result in, let's say, a signing, not a return. In this case of the Real Madrid youth player, Mendy has a contract, all right? To look at the other side, the side that would leave according to this information. Mendy has a recently renewed contract, if I'm not mistaken, until the year 2027, I think it is. He certainly has the possibility of staying. He's a player who, honestly, I have to say that I don't really know what Mendy's market value could be because he's somewhat unpredictable as a player. Last April and last May, he was an essential player, essential at Real Madrid because he was a true lock on the left flank. He gives you a lot of security in knockout matches against Bayern or City, where you need not to have two players who win individual duels, whom you can leave in one-on-one situations. And despite that, the start of the season is not being at the same level as last season. It happens that the season before the last one, which was very successful, was not good either. Mendy is somewhat inconsistent, alternating good years with bad ones. I am not sure what market value a player might have, who will turn 30 next year and has a history of injuries. Quite concerning, but lately it is true that this aspect also seems to have improved. For the right price, I am sure that Madrid would consider the offer, but he has to want to leave. And if he has just renewed, I don't see it as very sure that he would be willing to leave. And then we have Fran Garcia. I believe that he would indeed have a market if the player were willing to leave. I think he is an interesting player for quite a few teams, for Premier teams, for example. Although in aerial duels, which occur quite often in the Premier League, it's not necessarily his strength. I do think Fran Garcia would have a market. I honestly think he could also have some market in Germany, as Bayer Leverkusen showed interest at one point. Bayer Leverkusen. Well, I think that if he were willing, if he were open to leaving, it could be a deal that Real Madrid might pursue. What do I think about all this? Well, I believe that the only thing 100% decided right now is the Davies situation, okay? Madrid wants to complete the Davies deal, and I think he is an incredible player. If we consider the 4 left backs we're discussing, for me, Alphonso Davies is undoubtedly the best, the one who absolutely should be in Real Madrid squad. He contributes a lot offensively and isn't as weak defensively as people say, right? He has, shall we say, physical qualities that often allow him to cover ground, and he's a player with a good build, right? I mean, he's not the typical soft player, not at all, right? This is the operation I think Real Madrid prioritizes, right? Without any doubt. So, what would be the ideal complement to Davies? Well, instinct might tell us that the ideal complement would be a player more defensively oriented. A player that, well, would be more of a lock, right? A player that would be, let's say, more of a complement. Well, someone more complementary, so to speak. And the chosen one would be Mendy, right? Out of the rest, he undoubtedly has the best defensive qualities. And besides, you could imagine him as a left center back, which is not negligible by any means, right? It's not negligible because the man sheet is not that strong. Let's see what the roster of central defenders they have next year. We will see, right? But the situation right now is tremendously uncertain. So keeping Mendy, unless there is an effort to sell, seems appropriate to me. I know that salary-wise, combining Davies and Mendy isn't ideal, but if I believe in Mendy's role as a possible left center back, the situation starts to make more sense to me. Especially if I also consider, since Davies has had a tendency to get injured, and Mendy has too, it still makes sense to me that neither of them should be left too alone. Even so, I tell you, I would go for a third operation, which involves Miguel Gutierrez. I already shared my opinion on this the other day. I believe that Miguel Gutierrez, as a left back, is absolutely complementary to Mendy and different in qualities from Davies. Quite different from Davies. As a player, I believe he could contribute a lot in the midfield because he understands the game very well. He has a great touch with the ball and is a creative type. I think that kind of player is not something Real Madrid has in excess right now, given the problems they are having in creating play, in building up from the back. Therefore, it's an operation that I would do for 8 million euros. It seems like a winning move. In any case, I wouldn't worry about ending up with 3 left backs because Mendy, I insist, can play as a central defender, and maybe it's necessary for him to be a central defender. And indeed, I would look for a sale of Fran Garcia because I believe he is a player who does not meet Real Madrid's level. He doesn't offer guarantees. He has good matches where he provides significant depth on the flank, but he also has matches that truly raise many doubts. Personally, I would prefer, in the event that someone has to leave, if the other 3 were present, then clearly Fran Garcia would have to be sold. Well, I would prefer it to be Fran Garcia, since I believe he could have a good market value for 10 to 15 million euros and provide some profit. So without further ado, I say goodbye. I look forward to your comments. If you like the video, give it a like, share it, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. A big hug.